Welcome to the Elusive Podcast.
You found us.
We are a hard-to-find history podcast where we talk about the most elusive stories on Earth. From disasters to aliens at the Nevada test site. If it's just out of reach, we'll probably cover it here.
At the beginning, as always, here is your existential warning. Some of the things that we cover aren't really great for your mental health, so if you need to turn us off and take a break, we get it. This stuff is really heavy.
I'm your host, Levi Vanschoiack.
And I'm your other host, Lyndsay Burnett.
And believe it or not, the two of us are absolutely chock full of mostly useless information. And we are what happens when two people like that marry each other.
Each week, we will do our best to bring you a story that's just outside of the spotlight of the usual news media.
We're coming to you from normally sunny Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
But today, the weather is nasty.
Yeah, a bit cold and windy.
For those of you with really good earphones, we're sorry about the wind in the background.
We'll do our best to edit it, but we can't promise everything.
We were originally going to do the Uncontacted Tribes episode today, but with the looming storm, it really got me to thinking and worrying about the people under the city, the mole people. Because anytime, even just a drop of rain hits the Vegas streets, you have to worry about the mole people.
Yes, you've mentioned that before. I would love to hear more about it.
Yeah, see, here in Las Vegas, below all of the glitz and glamour, there's a secret world, a scary world, a world cloaked in darkness.
Definitely.
And to that, I'm actually referring to the mole people, the subterranean people that live under the streets of Las Vegas in the drainage tunnels that we use to control the massive flooding problems we have in the city.
It's a really scary situation, and I can't wait to hear more from you about this.
So, you've lived here for a couple of years now.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah. So, what do you think of our fair city?
Glitz and glamour and a lot of dust and blowing things.
Yeah, behind the neon lights, there's a lot of dirty, dark, grimy stuff happening in the city.
Really scary stories, yeah.
But one of the stories they don't talk about very often here is the homeless population.
Understandably.
Yeah, because nobody really wants to see how bad the odds can shift out of your favor when you're gambling.
And quickly.
Yeah. Most of these people are modern day refugees.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. So most of them are just either trying to hide out from, I don't know, warrants from the law, or they get stuck. Most of them just get stuck because they don't have identification, if we're being honest.
Okay. And so they go subterranean just to hide from all of that?
Well, actually, there's not many safe places you can go in the city.
No, there's
when you're
not.
Down and out.
No.
If you go to a park around here, you
get chased away.
You'll get chased away,
and driving around on the freeway, you'll see people occasionally with tents up underneath the overpasses.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
But they get pushed out to heaven knows where.
There's people that prey on them, and then they have to worry about the cops coming and pushing them out. And then there's other people that take advantage of them, like nonprofits that'll show up and offer them help only to utilize them for either labor or other bad practices.
A deep underbelly.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a nasty underbelly.
Yeah.
But underneath that, there's the people that nobody can really help. The people that every single system in this city has failed. And that's the mole people. Yeah, see, there's like 500 to 2,000 people on average that live down there.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And because there's like 500 plus miles of tunnels under the city.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they're varying sizes. There's drainage tunnels, there's mine shafts, there's sewer tunnels. Now, when I say tunnels, I'm not referring to sewers. I'm actually referring to flood diversion tunnels that we have here to divert all the flash flood waters we get from storms.
Okay, so I'm from Arizona, and in Arizona they have a lot of canals, but they are not covered.
Right.
They're open air tops.
Right.
So what you're saying is there's a lot of canal type
tunnels,
subterranean tunnels.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And some of them can be pretty big. Yeah.
That makes sense, especially down there with the massive waterworks at the Bellagio. You have to have water drainage.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because every single casino has their own flood control.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. They have their own flood control reservoirs.
Really?
Yeah.
So they just have like ballast tanks down there full of water?
Ballast tanks, yeah.
Yeah, wrong word, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, at any moment they could release these. Which we'll get into.
Oh, okay.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves. So all of this started in 1975. There was this flood that just ended everything in Las Vegas. Everything in like Caesar's Palace parking lot was just decimated.
Massive storm, or?
Well, yeah, because you know that this entire valley is just one big bowl.
Right, because it used to be an ancient ocean, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, the problem with that is every once in a while it rains here, and it rains a lot. 1975 was one of those years that it just rained a lot. And so they came up with this idea, hey, we should make tunnels underneath the city so that we can just evacuate all the water away from where people live.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, they had no more than finished creating these tunnels than people started going to live there. Homeless people, like it was a lot of hobo culture back then.
Okay. Like people who jumped the train and
absolutely
rode the train.
Yeah. Okay. It was a safe place to hide out for some people.
Makes sense with that many miles of tunnels.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and not only that, they're strategically placed on the outskirts of the on the outskirts of the city.
Okay.
So, I mean, the entrances and exits.
I'm starting to get a mental image,
right, of how big, of a network of tunnels we're talking about. Now, there's 3 to 5 major sites where people go. There's like 3 to 5 tunnel systems where people tend to migrate to. But I'm actually only going to talk about 2 today.
Okay.
The 2 that I actually know about.
From firsthand experience.
Absolutely. Because, spoiler alert, I used to be a mole people.
Yeah.
Person? People.
Person?
Yeah. In the summer of 1992, I became a mole person.
Really?
Yeah. My dad was super abusive. I did not have a good home life. So I escaped. I was a runaway, and I found the tunnels. Well, me and 4 of my friends found the tunnels.
Oh, wow.
Before I decided to sleep there overnight.
Was it far from where you ran away with your dad?
No, it was actually right across the street from my apartment complex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at the corner of Tropicana and Jones. You can't get there anymore. But,
no.
That was the Tropicana tunnel, as everybody knows it now. And we were the first ones to hang out there.
Oh, wow. Was this one of the 3 major
It
tunnels?
is now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the, they actually call it the meth tunnel now.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's not good.
But when you were in there with your 4 other friends?
Oh, yeah, there was the hardest drugs you would find down there was maybe a joint that somebody stole from their mom or their older sister.
So it was mostly kids down there, not adults?
Well, we were teens, but let's say we were all early teens.
Oh, okay.
So 12, 13, around that time.
How far into the tunnels did you have to go to find the hobo life that you were talking about that built in the 1970s?
Oh, well, no. When the tunnel we were in, nobody else was in at the time.
Oh, okay.
We were the first ones.
Gotcha. Oh, wow. OG.
Yeah, well, yeah. Brush off my shoulder. But it was pretty cool at first. So there's only 2 of us that really sleep there overnight to get away from our parents. But everybody else just kind of came and went. It was kind of a party atmosphere. People brought music. It was cool.
Interesting. Well, that sounds kind of nice for a teenager.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like a safe place, but it was a safer place.
Than home?
Than home, yeah.
That's tragic.
Yeah. Well, not everything's happy.
No, well, as we cover on this podcast.
Quite often.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and my friend Chris, for the longest time. Yeah, for a couple of summers, things would get better at home. I would go home. Things would get worse. I would leave. And I didn't know it, but we were the harbinger of some really bad stuff to come.
What do you mean?
Well, the longer we were down there, the more people would show up with their traumas, and more often than not, their addictions.
Oh.
And so the people that weren't doing drugs started doing drugs. And it didn't take very long until
catches like fire.
Yeah. It became a dangerous place, like, real fast.
Well, when you deal with trauma, disassociation and drugs go hand in hand. So that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. But my tunnel story ended not long after that. when I found my way into a group home
Oh,
called Boys Town. Yeah.
oh, that
Yeah,
one.
that one. Yeah, that's a whole nother episode on its own.
That's at least a two-parter on
They
a
cover the Kids for Cash scandal.
that you also
Yeah,
got.
wrapped up in. But yeah, the way it is today is a lot different than my day.
How so?
Well, there's a lot more people, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, 500 to 2,000. You said now.
Yeah, there's no way of knowing how many people because obviously they don't want to be counted.
Count it. Yeah.
From personal experience, I can tell you, you can see people coming from a long ways off. So if you don't want to be counted or found or seen, there's ways around it.
I can imagine that.
It's got its own culture down there. They have their own marshals and sheriffs, and they have their own celebrities.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. They have. You'll see a lot of mutual aid down there.
Okay, is the mutual aid celebrities or?
No. Like people that she was a porn star. I think she got out of the tunnels.
Oh, okay.
But there's people that have been celebrities that have gone down there and came out.
Oh, wow.
But more specifically, I'm talking about the people that run mutual aid in the tunnels.
Oh, how does that work?
Well, you have people that look out for one another down there. There's a community of people.
That's kind of beautiful.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because most of them are stuck there because of identification.
We say what now?
Identification.
Like they don't know who they are? Or
No. So here's the thing about Nevada specifically and Las Vegas specifically. You can't do anything here without an ID.
Their DMV system is a nightmare, even if you do have ID.
Right. So some of these people who were, for whatever reason, are from out of state. When they get robbed or if they lose all their money at the tables and there's no way of them getting back, they are effectively stuck here.
1,000 different scenarios could bring them to the same.
Just getting power washed through the cracks.
Whoa. And of course, like you said, they're not counted. It's hard to count them.
Right. Well, and then another problem is in these homeless shelters, one of the biggest things that they do to victimize other people is they steal their IDs.
Right.
Because if you don't have an ID, you could probably steal somebody else's that kind of looks like you.
Right.
And then you could get a bus ticket out of there and leave. Or you can go pawn the stuff at the pawn shop or whatever you need to do with an identification to get out of there.
Victims of opportunity.
Exactly. And that's the problem is there's a whole cycle of this. There's a whole system of this that the side effect is mole people.
Because capitalism.
Right. You have some of the most expensive and money-making casinos right on top of these people.
Right.
It's just heartbreaking.
The amount of money that changes hands every day in this town is absolutely flabbergasting.
That's astronomical.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet there's individuals literally under us who we don't even know who they are because how can you in this society
exist without identification in this digital day and age?
Right.
Get a cell phone without an ID.
The anxiety that this conversation right now causes because our listeners do not know, but us moving here to Nevada was a nightmare trying to get our vehicle and our
DMV.
IDs. 5-6 times we were there.
We were there 8 times total.
The paperworks that they're requesting, if you have them even, is just...
It's still a nightmare.
A nightmare, right. And the idea of doing that or trying to get through that with no ID whatsoever.
And no resources.
No mailbox, no money, no...
Right.
Nothing.
Now, imagine that you're trying to deal with all of that just up there on the surface with all of the missions and all of the do-gooders that are trying to help. And then all of those fail you. Right. Every single one of those either take advantage of you, take whatever ID you have, whatever resources you do have.
Right.
And now you're left with nothing.
Right.
Where do you go?
Right.
And that's just the thing. Like, nobody winds up in the tunnels that's doing good. Like, that's the bottom of the bottom.
So then this is also, I'm just extrapolating thought process wise. You read in papers quite often, specifically here, that the police will come in and
they'll push them
change out in the camps, right? They'll push them out. So then if they've already taken all their things, where do they have to go? Especially right now, it's cold. It's winter like weather outside.
Yep.
So underground makes the most sense for survival.
It's actually colder.
It's colder.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
So herein lies the problem. the Las Vegas Police Department, they don't really arrest homeless people so much as they give them trespassing tickets. And then these tickets accrue over time. So you get 27, 30 of them, and then you find yourself in jail for a year.
Like bench warrant sort of jail?
Exactly.
Okay.
And
you
then,
didn't show up to pay the fines.
Right.
You don't have money or ID to pay said fines.
Exactly. And then you wind up in Indian Springs for a year, and they still release you without identification.
That seems rather purposeful.
Well, purposeful.
Or just capitalism.
Needlessly cruel. Whatever.
All of the above.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's no what most of you need to understand at home is there is no safe place when you're homeless.
No.
Like, people think that there's homeless missions that you can go stay. No. Like, these shelters, most of the time, most people don't even qualify to get in.
Right. And if you do qualify to get in, you can bring little to zero possessions.
Right. And those possessions that you bring in, as we've covered before, often get stolen.
Right.
So it's like a lose, 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 lose situation.
All around, yeah.
Here's a shocking thing that most people don't understand.
What's that?
Is that you're only one or two mild financial difficulties away from being homeless.
Right.
Any one of us that doesn't make $1 million a year,
I read an article recently that said over 50% of Americans are one paycheck away from losing everything.
Absolutely.
$500, say you wreck your car and the insurance, it's a $500 deductible. Most people do not even have that to be able to pull themselves out of an issue.
Oh, here, I'll give you a direct one. Let's say that you have a really tight month and you decide rent or car insurance, right? And of course you're going to choose rent because you need a place to live.
Roof over your head, yeah.
Right. Now, you go to work and somebody T-bones you, right? And you didn't pay your insurance deductible and that person got really hurt. And so did you.
That's close, but there's one worse than that. In this state, if you don't pay your car insurance, they take your license.
Okay, but before we get there, let me just say this. So you hit them. Now you're liable for not only the damages, but the medical cost accrued not only of yourself, but the other person. Now you don't have a roof over your head. You don't have a job.
Right.
So, yeah, your choices are shelter, sleep in the car that you're about to lose.
Right.
Or what's left of your car.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And just like that.
Done.
And
then once you fall through these cracks, they're almost impossible to climb back out of.
Right.
Now, it's true that a lot of substance abuse issues lead to the homelessness. But that's the thing, is most of these people they're not just willing, they want the help.
Right.
They want to go to rehab.
Right.
But they can't because they don't have an ID.
Right.
But they also have an extensive record of in and out of jail because of trespassing.
And don't a lot of rehabs cost?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not like there's a whole slew of government subsidies out there that help get people into rehab.
No, but they do exist.
They do.
And that's kind of the point, is if these people got even a little bit of extra attention, a little bit of extra aid, they might not be people down there at all.
That is absolutely tragic.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the word tragic. Because now we're going to talk about why we brought this up in the first place. We're going to talk about what happens when it rains.
But before the rain, let's make sure that our water bill is paid.
Yeah. We'll be right back after we pay the water bill.
We'll be back.
And now that the water bill's paid and we can wash our various body parts, we're back.
Yay.
So we were just talking about what happens here in Las Vegas when it rains, especially when it comes to the mole people that live in the drainage tunnels.
The flash floods.
Yeah. So we get flash floods here. You've seen it out here on Jones.
I have. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, it can go from being bone dry, and I do mean bone dry, to like a foot of water.
The whole road is flooded. Yeah.
Well, all of that water eventually goes underground.
It's got to go somewhere.
And these people, and this is the worst thing about being a mole person is, well, cell phones don't work down there.
They don't.
No.
No signal.
No signal at all. So you can't tell if the weather's changing. And if you live a mile or more away from the opening, you can't tell that the weather's changing.
That's terrifying.
Right. Now, here's the other thing. Most of the time, nobody goes down there to warn people that it's about to rain.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it washes them out. And in great degree, you've seen on the news, you can see tents and things coming out of the tunnels.
But they never really talk about people. They just
Right.
say debris.
Well, that's the thing. See, you get a little bit of warning when the water starts to rise.
Okay, how so?
Well, it doesn't all show up at once. Like at first, it comes in as a little trickle,
Okay.
and then you're before you know it, you're up to your knees. But you still have a chance. When you see it start to get wet, you know to run.
Wait, have you experienced this?
Yeah, it's actually they call it taking the ride in the culture.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay.
But so yeah, these tunnels they get flooded out. And then most of the time people survive this.
Okay.
But they don't always. But the worst part is, besides the obvious death and everything, is they lose everything.
Right.
So the little things that they did have, now they've lost everything again.
Right. And if you're running, I would imagine you wouldn't want to be carrying a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. There's when it's your life on the line,
right.
You just take your life with you.
Those things no longer matter. Yeah.
Right. And so then, it takes weeks for the tunnels to dry back out again to the point where you can actually be down there.
Oh my goodness. Well, what do people do in between?
That's when they have to go to homeless shelters, and that's when they get subject to arrest from the surface world.
Oh, it's just a horrific Ouroboros of terror
and sadness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then if it wasn't enough, the rains cause these floods, but the casinos often flood them out on purpose.
That's what you had mentioned before. On purpose? Wait, on purpose?
Yeah. See, they'll wait until there isn't a rainstorm in the forecast or a rainstorm for months, and then they'll just release just enough water to make it unlivable.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, where the water pools and makes mosquito larvae, and it's, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And the mosquitoes are still able to do that in the tunnel? I thought you...
Oh, absolutely. There's clouds of mosquitoes down there. Spiders.
I guess in the summer it still warms up no matter what.
Right. Yeah. And then so it's a fetid pool of disease that the ground gets slick with algae. Like,
there is not enough words in my vocabulary to explain how horrific that is. Just the mental image is terrifying.
Now, mind you, they don't flood it out to the point where you have to run for your life most of the time.
Oh, asterisks.
Right. Because it has happened where people have lost their lives because the casinos have opened these dams.
Because money.
Right. But for the most part, it's more inconvenient than anything else.
Inconvenient to whom?
The mole people.
Oh.
See, it's within the casino's best interest to make life as inconvenient as possible to the mole people, because when the mole people go to the surface world, they make life inconvenient to the people around where the tunnels are.
See, and I was just going to say, what does it matter? They're in tunnels. Nobody sees them.
Well, I'll ask you a question about living here in Vegas. How do you get to one side of Las Vegas to the other without popping up around a casino?
I know there was silence. I'm sorry. My eyes just bugged out. There's no way.
Now think about where the tunnels are that we're talking about. That's right across from the Rio.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Now when those people pop out, where can they go? Where they will not be under the scrutiny of everybody.
They have to go into the public where everyone else is.
Right. And there's the trap.
Jeez. Wheeze. This is America.
Well, speaking of America and our vast divides, there's actually divisions in the tunnels themselves.
Really?
Well, yeah. See, you have tunnels where people just do meth, and tunnels where people just do heroin, and those tunnels don't like each other.
One's up, one's down.
Well, yeah. I mean, so the heroin tunnel, from what I understand, they don't like the meth people because they don't stop moving around.
Yeah,
and
I could see that.
Yeah, and the meth tunnel doesn't like the heroin tunnel. Yeah, they don't like them because they're sketchy. The heroin addicts are sketchy.
The heroin addicts are sketchy.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, well, because when you're not high on heroin, you're looking for heroin.
Oh.
You know this from being in the medical field.
Yeah, well, not Well, okay, I've watched, yes. I've watched a lot of patients coming down from things and their behavior. So that tracks. Yeah.
Absolutely. So and there's a culture. See, when I was down there, um, anybody could show up, which was the scary part. They don't allow kids down there.
Now?
Yeah. The mole people will actively push out a kid and say, no, get the hell out of here. You don't belong here.
And I don't know how I feel about that, because that seems like a little bit protection, also severe ostracizing.
Severely ostracizing them?
That word.
Well,
holy cow.
Well, here's the thing about that.
Okay.
Before you're 18 here in Las Vegas, even if you don't have an ID, you can take advantage of a bunch of social programs to get you off of the street that aren't necessarily a mission or or a homeless shelter.
Kind of like Boys Town?
Kind of like Boys Town.
Okay.
Or Quest Haven, or I don't even know if that one's still open.
Don't need to name any more names, but yeah.
But yeah, they have resources, and the tunnels are so predatory that
Gotcha.
young people just do not belong there, and they know that. So the community doesn't allow young people to ruin their lives by going down to the tunnels anymore. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like a higher moral standard than the rest of the upper world society?
Yeah,
I don't know what
surface world.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Surface world society. That's crazy.
Well, that's the other thing I was trying to tell you about mutual aid.
Yeah.
They look out for one another. Even, listen, I know people at home don't understand this about addicts, but they're people.
Right. Of course, I know. Mind-blowing concept.
Right. And here's the thing. They're people helping people. Like, you know, there's a lot of disabled veterans down there. There's a lot of people in wheelchairs down there. And they have communities where they help each other out. Somebody will go get water. Somebody will try and go get food. Somebody will try and get money. Like, and everybody's running scams. Of course. I mean, what else are you going to do?
Capitalism yet again.
But they do it to survive as a group.
And maybe this is a reach, but psychologically speaking, they maybe know what it's like to be in pain.
Absolutely.
And so helping one another kind of...
There's a lot of empathy in those tunnels.
That's the words I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of danger down there.
Right. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. Well, I'm not.
Right. See, here's the dark side. Now I'm going to hit you with the dark side.
Oh, we weren't dark before?
While you won't see many young people or children down there, you will see predatory prostitution. You will see pimps. You will see drug dealers, drug pushers, drug thieves. You will see some really bad stuff. And the people you'll see down there have been running from the cops and the police and the FBI for decades.
Gotcha.
There's even reports there might even be a serial killer down there.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a dark underbelly down there.
Yeah. With
the rise of opiates and now with fentanyl.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Oh yeah. I've been watching documentaries and people down there openly just smoke fentanyl. Like, they're like, "What are you smoking?" And they're like, "Fenty."
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like,
that's terrifying. Specifically to me, because of how many articles I've been reading of drugs coming in, even local form, that don't have the medication in it that's supposed to have in it. So if you're crossing over
absolutely
and straight up doing that, that's overdose city right there.
And most of these people are desperately in need of aid.
Yeah.
And they want it. Like, most of them know that this is the last rung. They're not happy down there. Right. Nobody's down there being like, "Oh, I'm picking out drapes.
This is paradise." Yeah, no.
Yeah, everybody down there is looking for that one little spark. I got mine. Yeah. I got help out.
And thank goodness you did.
Right, but I was also a teenager.
Right.
No, there's people down there that have been down there for decades.
My God.
And you think about that when you, I don't know, you have your hot girl summer in your party limo and you're going by the Rio. Just take a second and think about the people that, could change their life from the amount of money you spent on that bottle in your hand.
People that we are literally stepping over every single day.
To have a good time.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Now, we talked about what happens when it floods and my experience with that.
Right.
In the vernacular, it's called taking the ride.
Right.
And it happened to me once. And
do tell.
It was, I just went through therapy for this, so I feel safe talking about this now.
All right.
Like I said, it was me and my friend Chris. And we were like 300 yards from the tunnel opening.
Okay.
Which is important because it was uphill of where we were.
You could still see the opening?
No. But the tunnel opening was uphill.
Okay.
We were downhill. A slight angle is how the water flows through.
Okay.
That's important to the story.
All right, I'm listening.
So there we were. We actually had a really nice leather couch that we had pulled down there.
Okay.
And Chris had made a bed out of pallets and a sleeping bag. And so we were just down there chilling. I think we were actually just listening to Nirvana's Nevermind.
Oh.
And then
I bet the acoustics were interesting in there.
Yeah, but you had to play everything really loud because the air moves in and out.
Gotcha.
It's weird. If you ever have a chance to listen to music in a tunnel, it's kind of creepy. But anyway, it started with a little trickle of water. And
just showing up at your feet?
Yeah, and we're like, you see puddles in there all the time. So you're like,
Didn't
whatever.
think anything of it.
Nothing of it. Well, then, not even 30 seconds later, it was like going over the top of my Converse.
Oh, so it rose pretty quick.
Yeah. And that's the thing about being away from the entrance, which is uphill of where we were.
Oh, no.
So by the time we figured out we needed to get the hell out of there, it was too late. It was already hip deep.
And was the music still playing?
No.
No,
See,
by then.
Right, because it fell in the water.
Oh.
We had flashlights, which sounds great at the beginning of this, but they didn't last long as soon as they got wet.
Right.
So we started going towards the entrance to get out.
Okay.
But we were hip deep. And
how quick did that happen?
Oh, that happened in like 4 minutes. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, the water rose so fast.
Oh, wow.
So we turned around and we started booking it because we knew that it was only about a mile and a half to the Tropicana wash.
Okay.
So we started running the opposite way, which was hard. So the couch...
Because the water was coming from
behind us now.
Okay.
We turned around to run away from the entrance.
Gotcha.
Because we knew we couldn't make it out.
Gotcha.
Because there was grills. There's a grill of bars
that
was covering the entrance that you had to shimmy through to get in there.
And you needed time to do that.
And it was already up to our hips.
Oh, okay. So you turned around, ran in the opposite direction.
Yeah, well, tried to run. That's the other thing I need you to understand is these tunnels have sediment all over the floor. Not just sediment, but also this really slick algae, like the slime. It's all over everything on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so running...
And Converses, so you didn't really have that much of a tread. Yeah.
So trying to run in this while the water's coming. Now, we heard it pick up the couch that I was laying on.
Oh my God.
And we heard it tumbling after us. It made these huge thoom, 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 as it like hit against the concrete wall coming at us. And for a while, it was holding a bunch of the stuff that was coming into the tunnel from hitting us.
That was fortunate.
Right. But the other scary thing is all the stuff that was in front of us. See, our flashlights weren't working.
I was just going to say, you said flashlights didn't work when you dropped
them.
Right.
Now imagine you have to run pitch black and there's a wall of water behind you. You hear that couch coming behind you and you can't see what's in front of you.
Knowing that you have at least a mile to a mile and 3/4 to run in the dark.
Absolutely.
Not knowing what's in front or behind you.
Now there's shopping carts. There's pallets, there's broken wood, there's jagged metal. Also, the tunnels change from being wide open to ovals.
And you have no light to see.
And you don't know, so you can hit your head. And you could literally kill yourself running.
Head, knees, you could have impaled yourself running into something.
Oh, we did.
Oh my
we absolutely did. As a matter of fact, spoiler alert, we survived.
Well, obviously, yes.
But Chris actually had to go to the hospital for sepsis.
I was wondering about that, yeah.
I'll get to that. But so my shins were just poked into everything. I was running with my hands out in front of me. Now, the audience at home doesn't know this, but you know this about me and spiders.
Yes.
I'm not compatible.
Not a good mix.
Terrified. Well, this is one of the reasons. Because when we were running, see, black widows like to make these huge webs across the tunnels. And if you've ever seen a black widow web, you know that they're very dense, that they
Thick.
like to lay down multiple fibers.
Yep.
So more than a few times, we had to brush these out of our face while we're running. So you wind up running with your hands in front of you, not just to turn away the shopping carts and pallets that could like stab you in the stomach.
Spiders from your eyes and hair.
Oh yeah, so just nightmare.
Okay.
So about halfway to the Tropicana Wash, we were no longer running anymore. The water had picked us up.
Oh my
and
God.
it was pushing us. So you try to tiptoe, right? But you
to keep your head up.
Well, here's the thing. We still had about 4 feet above us, so we could breathe.
Oh, good.
Like there was air. You could still run, kind of, but the water was more pulling us. And that's about the time that the couch almost killed us. Like it got right behind us.
Decapitation and drowning.
Yeah.
Oh.
At the last second, it got stuck in an access pipe. The corner of it got stuck, like cattywampus.
Right.
And it got held up. And that was like 6 feet behind us.
Oh my.
But Chris's pallet bed hit us full force from behind.
Ouch.
And then the other thing was all the sediment, right? At that point, it was like sitting in a jet full of like sandy water. Like it was like liquid sandpaper.
So you could feel the force as well as all the stuff in the water.
Right. Like the density of the water was like, I'm going to say it was like 50% or 40% soil. So like it's dense. It was like clawing your way through. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been to a spa and taken a mud bath.
No, but I have been, yet again, irrigation canals.
There you go.
I know what you mean. So the sediment is part of the water. It's a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And at that point, we weren't so much swimming as letting the current take us because there's really nothing we could do. Well, by the time we popped out at the Tropicana Wash, right before we did, the tunnel changed size again, went smaller.
Oh, God.
And we literally, it was our lips against the concrete.
In the dark.
Like while we were floating through the water and pushed us out the last 100 yards or so. Like, I absolutely thought I was going to die that day.
Did the force of the water eject you out of the...
It kind of made like a thump noise when we came out.
Okay, that's kind of funny, but the rest is not funny.
Yeah, right. Well, the other thing is as soon as we got out of the tunnel, we're now stuck in the flash floodplain.
Oh, God.
Yes.
With all the water
with all the other water, mud, and trees, and sticks, and all that.
Broken glass.
All that. Oh. So we had to claw our way up to Tropicana Boulevard.
Where all the people are.
Right. And our clothes were completely destroyed.
Oh,
man. Hanging off us in tatters.
Makes sense.
It was torn up. We had little puncture marks and little scratch wounds.
You ran into everything trying to get out.
Everything.
Nightmare-inducing.
Yeah.
I am so thankful that you did the therapy thing first.
Yes.
Before sharing this with everybody.
That's why I feel so comfortable talking about it now.
And why we give a trigger warning at the beginning of all of our episodes. Because this is heavy stuff.
If you're claustrophobic, if you're afraid of water.
Spiders.
Mummification.
Drowning.
Impaling. Drug use.
Overdose. Or just the general underbelly of people.
Yeah. This is probably, we should have started off
at the beginning.
At the beginning.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Post trigger warning? I don't know.
Post trigger warning, guys. But yeah, I mean, and there is hope. There is hope.
Is there?
So there's a few organizations out there that are actually doing some good.
Tell me about them.
Well, there's this organization called Shine a Light.
Shine a Light?
Yeah, and actually they've rescued over 250 people from the tunnels.
That's really cool.
They've helped women that were pregnant that were going to give birth. They've helped them get to a hospital to give birth safely.
Wow.
They've helped a lot of people into rehab, actually.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So they just go down there and talk with them or find out what their needs are?
Well, absolutely. And then there's other nonprofits that are out there also helping, but I'm not really sure of their reputations. There's a lot of drama online and a little bit of self-serving from what I'm hearing. So Shine the Light is the only one that I've seen so far that I'm willing to put my support behind.
That's good to know. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Now, as just a normal air-breathing human being that comes to Vegas, if you see these people, don't be afraid to talk to them.
Right. They have stories and lives too.
And if you can help, please do. Like if you see somebody that's hungry, give them food.
Absolutely.
Or, I mean, worst case scenario, give them money. And if you're like, oh my God, they might buy drugs. Listen, I bought drugs today.
Right? It's really not a limpness anymore.
Right. Like, whatever they choose to spend the money on to help them feel some sort of levity in that nightmare of a tunnel life.
Or, God forbid, connection.
Or get an identification.
Right.
Like, you guys, you don't know what $20 could do to somebody down there. And I'm not trying to do like the Sally Struthers thing. And
no,
what I'm just trying to say is if you're here in town and you see homeless people, be nice to them. Or if you see homeless people in your own neighborhood, be nice to them.
Right.
Because like I said before, you're only 2 minor financial mistakes away from being in their shoes.
And everyone knows what pain is like. Regardless of your background, we can empathize with one another on that level.
Absolutely. And that's all really that we need to erase a subterranean culture like the mole people. Is just a little bit of empathy goes a long way.
Right. Compassion, it's an amazing thing.
Now, here's something that's amazing.
Oh?
Every single major culture that has ever existed around the world has had a secondary subterranean culture built in.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can think of 2, but...
Which 2 are you thinking of?
Well, I was thinking Rome.
Oh, first one. Yeah.
And then, what is it? The catacombs in France?
Absolutely.
That's, yeah.
But also ancient Egypt had subterranean.
Really?
Well, I mean, yeah, the pyramids, babe. It's all underground.
Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, how about the one in Turkey where they found like it could hold 25,000 people or something like that?
You need to do an elusive on that one.
Okay.
Because
all right.
I really want to know about that one. That one's, yeah.
I'm going to have to put that back in my cap.
Yeah, because when you showed me the picture of that, I was like, that's like finding out there was a megalodon just like, I don't know, in a swimming pool somewhere.
Okay, well, we'll save that for another time.
Right.
But yeah, okay, so you've made your point. I see a few of the subterranean cultures that happened in the past.
Well, you almost always just see it in cultures where people are required to show papers.
Oh,
in
wow.
ancient Rome, slaves that ran away often found themselves living in the subterranean.
For the same reasons.
For the same reason. The same thing as the people that lived in the catacombs in France often were running from pogroms or,
oh my goodness.
Or didn't have the paperwork needed to reside in Paris, which also historically very difficult to do.
So there's nothing new under the sun.
No, nothing. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have on that. If you have questions or if this has made you curious, there's a bunch of documentaries online.
There are.
Bunch of news stories.
Good sources out there. Also, if you guys happen to have any questions for us or things that you might like us to cover as well, feel free to send us an email. elusivehistory@gmail.com is where you can find us for now.
And also, right now, I think we're going to need to pay the cable bill.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, what other bill? We'll just come
All
up
the
with a bill.
bills. All of them.
Let's get an arbitrary bill. We have to go pay our overdraft fees. Ha ha ha. Man, that was rough.
Yeah, it was.
But we got through it.
Yeah, we did.
But you know what always makes me feel better?
What?
Cursing.
Cursing is so therapeutic.
It's not just for sailors anymore. As a matter of fact, we brought up Roman culture.
Yes, we did.
Earlier. Not really, but we kind of did. And the curse that we're talking about now is in the spirit of the Romans. The way the Romans would curse somebody.
Tell me more.
Well, so it took most of the time a copper plate. You would have to know which deity you were using to curse somebody.
Okay. I've seen those. They're like sheets of paper.
Right.
And then they do weird scratches.
Right.
All over it and then roll it up and stick it somewhere, right?
Yeah, sometimes they'll add like rosemary or their own blood or semen or whatever, or the blood of their enemies.
To really just seal it in the flavor.
Right. Now, when we say we're cursing people, we're not doing that.
No?
No.
We don't have copper plates.
We don't actually have any power.
None of that.
But saying the words makes us feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bring a little, I don't know, cathartic justice. To the situation.
That would be a good band name.
Would definitely be metal.
So this is the segment that we like to do called New Curses. This is a long and meandering way of bringing us to Welcome to New Curses.
New Curses!
Which is where we take the villain of our story, or basically anybody that really deserves it, and we just curse them with things that we hope they should experience.
Exactly.
But again, like we said, asterisk, we don't have any power. So today, specifically, I would like to curse the people in the casinos. Maybe not the workers, because they really don't have anything to do with it.
No.
But the upper management guys that are like, hey, let's flood out those homeless people in our tunnels. Those people specifically is who we're cursing.
That's a good place to start for certain.
Okay. So give me a name.
Steve.
Okay. So Steve is one of these people that's in control of the flood control at the casinos. Okay. Steve, may you get Las Vegas buffet-style food poisoning every time you eat anything.
It's a smorgasbord. Nice. Okay.
But in reverse.
In reverse. In this...
give me a name. We gotta target him.
A name? Okay, let's see. George.
No, I'm gonna give you the name.
Oh, yeah. Well, then give me a name.
Gretchen.
Gretchen? All right, Gretchen. In this city of dazzling lights, may you have a crippling astigmatism.
Give me a name.
Saul.
Saul. Okay. Saul, who's probably in control of the flood controls again.
He saw it all?
He did. He saw it in half.
Okay.
I hope someone from Circus Soleil sneezes in your mouth.
No.
That's the curse that I have. Every time you pull that lever to open the floodgate, I hope somebody from Circus Soleil sneezes in your mouth. Like it's an automatic interaction.
Just right there.
And last but not least, you want to read this one? To Billy.
No, that's yours.
Oh, okay. Well, give me a name then. This is the last one.
To Troy.
Troy. Okay. Wait a minute. Should the last one be Cyril?
Yeah. To Cyril.
To Cyril. There's probably a Cyril that works at Circus. May you get all of the bed bugs that Circus has to offer.
Ooh.
I mean, all of them.
A plethora.
Every day.
Everyone. Huh? That does it. That actually makes me feel a little better, a little lighter.
Cathartic justice?
Yeah.
You know, it also feels like cathartic justice.
What?
Plugging your pluggables.
The pluggables. So, in pluggables, I think that we should also plug other people, things or people that we're really interested in at the moment.
Absolutely.
For me, I would love to plug Kimberly Kitzero. I just bought her book, Discovering Autism and the Comorbidities Along the BH4 Pathway. She is...
Little light reading.
A little light reading. She's an autistic woman who had a autistic daughter who was nonverbal and was able to use studies that we have done, or not me, but science has already gone through and put this puzzle together to figure out what enzymes that her daughter was missing, and now she's verbal.
Oh, fascinating.
2 years later. So absolutely go check her out. Kimberly Kitzero. She's also on TikTok as Kimberly 102347, I believe. So.
Okay, and what about your whimsies?
My whimsies are still there. Lyndsay's whimsies.
On all platforms?
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
I'm approximately 11 ninjas on just about everything.
Approximately.
Also, I have a book out.
That's right, you do.
Yeah.
You have 2 books out.
I have 2 books out. It's a series of books. It's called the Rising Titan series. You can find them anywhere that books are sold.
That's right.
But I would also like to plug my new favorite person in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Saber Vibes is a new lightsaber shop that's opened in the Fantastic Mall.
Saber Vibes. Okay.
Absolutely. And he's got some of the coolest lightsabers I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
As a lightsaber aficionado, you need to go look at what he's got. He's got pixel sabers. He's got
Those of
bags.
you listening may not know, but Levi loves to twirl, and I know that sounds silly, but twirl lightsabers, and it does not look silly at all. It's absolutely fascinating to watch. Double-bladed lightsabers, yes. It's incredible what he can do with a lightsaber.
Well, thanks for noticing.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to leave everybody with positive vibes.
Lots of love.
Be nice if you can be nice.
Everybody's hurting.
Yeah, it takes nothing to be extra nice unless they're not being nice. Then I'm not going to hold you contractually to being nice to them.
Different scenarios.
As always, stay safe out there, and you can find us at Elusive.